What's up, everybody? This is Dallin, Candland back with you today. I am super excited. It is time for another episode. I'm going to be talking a lot about habits and how habits are the vehicles for your personal progress. If you want to make progress in your life, if you want to change something, if you want to become something different than you already are, then you just change your habits. I remember reading this quote a long time ago that said, hey, if you just change something you do every day, your life will change. And that's true. If you started doing one thing differently every single day, eventually your life would change in some way. And I've seen this with a lot of different things. There's this really cool idea that I came up with in the last couple months. I've been sharing it with a lot of people, and now I'm sharing it on the podcast. And that is that your habits are your vehicles for your life. So let's say you're to start a new habit of reading a book or reading from a book, 10 pages a day, right? So you do it the first day and you're like, wow, that was really good. And you get this kind of like adrenaline or whatever, dopamine, whatever it might be. You read, you learn, and it's great. Now, if the habit is too big, you might not want to do it the next day. But if you do, or if you make it even a smaller habit, so it's more like a mini habit, then it will grow. Your body will get more used to it. Our bodies are super good at homeostasis, at getting back to our normal and wanting to achieve that. Our bodies really love homeostasis. And this is something I learned when I was doing track. I was not used to running every single day, but from doing track, that's what I did. And I started really kind of slow, but I kept it up and didn't miss any practices. And I tried to, not throw away my health in other ways. And I was thinking more like an athlete, and doing better in my classes and everything. And it's just amazing how that all comes together. But I got a lot better at running. I believe that when you start a habit, it's like you're getting on a bike with training wheels. You really don't know what you're doing. You're trying to figure out what's going on, and you steer, you figure it out, but you're not making a ton of progress. It's really easy to give up and to be discouraged. Right now, this podcast is really small, and I have put a lot of effort, time, and even some money into it with no return on investment that I could see yet. But that's okay, because I'm having a lot of fun doing it. But at the same time, this is the perfect time for me to quit this. Perfect time. There's not a better time. But it's also the perfect time for me to keep it going, because it's on iTunes, it's on Spotify, it's on CastBox. It's going to be on YouTube soon. I'm going to figure that out. And I'm getting into the swing of it. This is a habit that I'm not super used to. I'm more used to recording like YouTube videos with my friends, I guess. That's a little bit more of a habit that I have more experience with. So this is a habit, just a personal habit for me that I'm working on. Same thing with coming up with scripts for these podcast episodes. It's not easy always to do that. I'm reading a book right now called Atomic Habits by James Clear, and that man is amazing. Not to spoil the book, but he's been through a lot of stuff. And when he was in college, he developed some habits and he just didn't stop doing them. And he got so good, and he just did well in his classes, and he was able to get a lot stronger mentally and physically. And he just made this complete 180. And it was because he was so consistent with his habits. These habits, in my view, became like airplane or jet plane habits, even a rocket habit. That's the highest on my little tier list that I made. So rocket habit is automatic, like blast off, I'm out. Mel Robbins talked about this in her 5-second rule talk that I watched in my college success class, which is a really good talk. She talked about when she was going through a really rough time, and how one day she just kind of had this thought of getting out of her bed like a rocket with the 5-second rule. The 5-second rule is a good way to develop habits too. And it's something I've been doing to spend less time just surfing on the internet, more time like focused, remembering that this life is so precious. I'm not going to be single forever, and just gotta enjoy life. And for me, having a tiny bit of ADHD, I learned so I can be super focused. I can also get distracted easily. Habits are like, dude, they are so important to me. I'll probably write a book about habits, maybe about this vehicular idea of habits. We'll just see. So there's habits that are like situational, habits that like they kind of just work into your schedule for that period of time, but they're not super serious. And then there's also lifelong habits. Right now I'm trying to develop some lifelong habits, and it's kind of frustrating because I don't know how my life is going to work and look for the next long time, 80 years. Maybe not that long. I don't know. We'll see. But something I read recently talked about how you can manipulate how the beginning of your day goes and how the end of your day goes. I'm not a giant fan of waking up early, but I am a giant fan of getting stuff done in the morning. So that's something I'm trying to work on, is enjoy that more. A quick little example of a situational habit was when I was working back at the potato farm back this past summer. I would get home at like 7 p.m. and I'd do a couple things, and then it was time to go to bed. And I wanted to go on a run at night, and it was just the best time. And I found I was less stressed at work, and it was just better. Now I'm taking a military physical fitness class here, and it is bonkers, man. We did pull-ups, we did push-ups, we did dips, and we were supposed to run like 4 miles with all these exercises in between. I only did like 2.5 about, but I was happy. Like 2.5 miles, that's not bad. And that's split up over 4-lap increments with exercise in between. But still, it's progress. Considering how far, when I was like 15 years old, when I started running and doing track, because I didn't make the basketball team, like that's pretty good progress. And that's something, I feel like this class is really putting me in a wonderful position to keep up this exercise habit. Because it's definitely helping me out with staying sharp in my classes and also making time for doing something super fun like this podcast. I want to talk a little bit about The Power of Habit. It's a book that Charles Duhigg came out. My cousin Clark has read it. I'm going to have to get Clark on one of these episodes, and it'll be so fun. But until that day, I had a talk with Clark recently. Well, it was about a month ago. Like I said, Clark's kind of one of my main mentors, and I've been trying to figure out who my mentors are and just stay close to them so I can stay close to my goals and stuff and keep developing these habits. Anyway, so Clark told me about how in the book The Power of Habit talked about how to make a new habit. You have to change the cue. There's the cue, there's the routine, and then there's the reward. So the cue is kind of like you have this thought or you have this desire to do something. Lately, I've been making salads, and so I have like the cue, hey, I'm going to make this salad, and I want a salad. I want to eat healthier. So I make the salad. That's the routine. And the reward is that I get salad, But I can't just skip straight to salad. There has to be getting the materials out and making the salad. The idea from the book, although I haven't read it, I've watched a couple of videos talking about his ideas, is just that if you want to change the reward, you need to change the cue. You need to change your environment. You need to change everything. Like, you need to change those little things that you don't think matter. Lately, I've been listening more to music while I scooter to classes. And I want to get into like listening to podcasts and planning that out so I can scooter to class while listening to podcasts because that'll be fun, learn some cool stuff. And yeah, so that's kind of another thing. Another thing I want to share with you guys as far as building habits go is to consider your momentum when you're building habits. And if you're enjoying this episode as much as I am, definitely subscribe to the podcast, share it with your friends. Building a podcast is really interesting, and I think there needs to be more around it. So that's why I'm making a YouTube channel and everything for this really soon. But for now, it's kind of just on Buzzsprout and iTunes and Spotify. So any help is always super appreciated. All right, now with that out of the way, I want you to think about momentum. So when you act, this is one of the biggest things I've learned in my life probably. When you act, your motivation just comes. What made me, I was not in the mood to record a podcast. It's late. I need to go to bed. I have some homework I could do that I didn't really do. But I just started and made a script, and bam, what am I doing? I'm making a podcast, and it's great, and I'm loving it. So that is building momentum. I'm going to make another podcast tomorrow so I can upload it on Monday. I'm going to upload this one tomorrow. So I'm going to be ahead of my game. My momentum is increasing. It's the snowball effect. It's the hype train. I love these concepts because they're true. They're real. If you act and you get the thing done, you feel better and you want to do that more. And if you're consistent, then it can just be amazing the progress you make. I've been reading a couple books here and there for the last couple months, and I've almost finished a couple of them, like 3 or 4 books, and that's pretty sweet. I'm going to share what I learned here on the podcast. I'm going to try to figure out how to do that. Maybe make a show specifically about books I'm reading. I'm not sure. We'll have to see. Anyway, one of the best ways to build a habit, I've been reading this book called The Compound Effect. I talked about it in a previous episode, one of the earlier episodes, something that the Compound Effect talks about. It says like, hey, if you want to just get better at a habit, just put a check mark next to the calendar when you do that thing. And you'll see the previous check marks be like, yeah, I need to do that. Lately, I've been keeping track of when I go to bed. And it's kind of humbling to look back up at my calendar right now and see I woke up at 7 on September 19th, but then I went to bed at 11:50. And on September 13th, I woke up at 7:30-ish and went to bed at 12:34. So there's progress to be made, and that is so encouraging to me to know that you can make progress. And with God's help, anything is possible. And if you get your family involved, your friends involved, and you're serious about this, then of course anything's possible. You just make it small. That's kind of what the Atomic Habits book I think is going to talk about, is just starting really small and just building your way up. It's natural. That's the natural progression. It's like the inchworm or the caterpillar. I don't know. It's like you start really small, but it grows and it grows over time. Yard by yard is hard, but inch by inch is a cinch is a great quote I've shared with a number of people. Another great way to keep track of momentum. So there's the calendar, and then there's also a journal. And that's what I've been trying to do, is just journal about how I'm doing and stuff. I did have an emotional intelligence journal when I was doing Integral Business Core IBC this past semester here at BYU, Idaho. It's where you and a group of students start a business together. We had an emotional intelligence assignment, and so I kept track in an Excel sheet how I was feeling. When I was feeling joy, what caused me to feel that joy? What caused me to feel anxious? What caused me to feel this and that? And I actually deleted that or overwrote it when I was working on another thing, and I was kind of upset about that. But no effort is wasted, and I hope to hop back into that soonish. I want to figure, because it was cool. I want to get back into doing that. Another cool way is like Habiddig, any habit tracking app. I mean, Habiddig is pretty cool. I've done that one a couple times. You basically can make a video game character, and it basically makes your life a video game because you can choose different habits, daily habits, and other habits. And then when you do them, you just click the check, you get experience points, and eventually your character can level up and you can go on quests with other people. It's pretty cool. I haven't really gone on any quests with other people. Apparently that's when the game really just gets crazy, because you're in this guild with other people, and if somebody messes up and doesn't do their habit, everybody loses health. It makes it a lot easier for the monster, whatever you're fighting, to take you down. I've been playing more like the personal single player Habiddig, where your character's just kind of standing around, then you click and it's like, woohoo! I got some experience points today. Thanks for checking in on me. Anyway, so I wanted to talk about a couple of the habits in my life that have really grown over time and kind of some of the benefits those have brought me. I already talked about running in high school. That really helped me out a lot. I'd also pray before practice, which over time, man, that made such a big difference and helped me come a lot closer to God and just know that He was aware of me and wanted to help me out with reaching these goals. I also had the habit to give it my best shot and to improve at every practice. I feel like that was a habit. That was something I did consistently. And even now when I run, I really don't want to slow down. Like, I really want to do my best. I want to improve. I don't want to stay where I'm at. So anyway, I want to talk about a couple different habits. One of my airplane habits is cold showers. I've been taking cold showers for almost 2 years. I watched a Thomas Frank video, highly would recommend his YouTube channel. He's helped me a lot. His podcast is definitely a big inspiration for this podcast. So I started taking cold showers, and it was difficult at first, but there's one day when I was visiting some family in Maryland, and it was cold outside, and I took a cold shower that day, and it was so cold, but I feel like that's kind of when I was like, yeah, I'm serious. And the cool thing about cold showers is you're already going to take a shower, so it doesn't add any extra time. Anyway, that's cool. Scripture study is also something that I've been pretty good at throughout my life. I would consider it an airplane habit, at least like ponderizing scriptures and thinking about them. Like I'm thinking about scriptures pretty much the entire day, sharing them with people. There's a couple scriptures like Proverbs 16:3, Proverbs 4:18, Proverbs 35:6, different ones like that have just kind of become part of me. And it's so nice that it's gotten to that point. And I'm still working on it. I won't say I haven't missed a day. Of course I've missed a day. But I really want to do it. And my motivation to do it is just big because I know what I can do with it and how it can help people. But at the same time, if I engage in other habits and do other things, then that motivation will slowly dwindle, I got to keep building it. Kind of going back to what I said before, you have to act and then the motivation comes. I recently started an experiment where I keep a Book of Mormon, which is another testament of Jesus Christ. I have a tiny little pocket one that I used my first semester of college. It's now too sort of beat up to carry around. It's had a lot of use. Anyway, it's just sitting in the bathroom cupboard. And whenever I go to the bathroom, whenever I go in the bathroom, I try to read a scripture or two. And one of the coolest parts is when I use my mouthwash or brush my teeth. That's usually what I'm doing, is reading a couple scriptures. And then I can write about it if I feel so inclined or whatever. And it just feels good. Some of my car habits are like writing in my journal. I've been pretty good about that, but every once in a while, like the last couple of days, I've missed it. But I really see the benefit, and going back and writing in my journal has been really helpful. Some training wheel habits I'm working on. Reading a self-help book before bed. I read something that said if you read a self-help book or something, it said when whatever you look at, read, or whatever before you go to bed kind of has a big impact on you. And I am always looking for new ideas. I'm always looking for new ways to help people. And so reading a self-help book before bed just kind of makes sense to me. I'm also getting into the habit of recording podcasts. Talked about that earlier. I'm in the habit of meditation. I've been meditating for about 5 minutes every day for the last couple days, and it's definitely made a difference. What are some of your training wheel habits, car habits, etc.? I would love to hear them. Just send them to my Instagram, which is Yield Today with Dallin podcast, or send me a message over Facebook, or once this is on YouTube, it'll be on YouTube. You can comment down below and let me know what you're thinking. If you love the podcast as much as I do, definitely rate it, subscribe for more, and follow the podcast because lots of great stuff is going to happen. I'm super excited. And just thanks for listening. I really do appreciate it. And this is going to make a difference. I'm trying to yield today by making good habits today and caring about my future self. How are you yielding today? Let me know. Yes, I envision love demonstrated. Yield today.